What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about one of the fresh Manceras that doesn't seem to get any love. We're talking about Midnight Gold, as you saw in the thumbnail and the title. I've been spending a little bit more time with this one recently, and it's my kind of style when it comes to fresh fragrances from Mancera. I want to dive into it a bit more with you, so stay tuned. So, with this fragrance, Midnight Gold's an interesting name because it's not dark, it's fresh. You're going to get citruses. I'll have the notes on screen for you guys. You're going to get citruses, you're going to get peppers. But the biggest thing, because it's fresh, it's watery, it's citric, it's all of these beautiful things, nice and spiced with rose. Fresh rose. Not too powdery. Not very grandma type of rose, at least not to me. It's such a good fragrance. We're going to give it a little spritz on the hand while we're talking about it. Might as well enjoy it a little bit while I'm discussing it. There's even a bit of a musky, creamy touch to it. And I think the creaminess comes from the patchouli that's used here, because there's really no dark or earthy elements to this one. It's not a chocolatey type of feel from the patchouli. I really think that creamy feel that I get as it dries is a lot to do with the patchouli. Not crazy complex and deep, though it does have a decent amount of notes in the pyramid. It's pretty much straightforward the way I explained it, with fresh, airy, watery, citric, spicy, and a fresh rose with a little bit of creamy, musky tones, soft woods as it dries. It really makes me happy to smell it. I think you'd wear this one every day, as long as you're okay with a little dose of rose, because it is kind of the focal point of this fragrance. Is it's a fresh rose fragrance, but it's not overtaking it, because all of those other nuances and notes that I mentioned are very prominent and at the forefront. So it's not necessarily going to be for everyone. And I could see that being one of the reasons it's kind of flying under the radar. Another reason being Pierre Montal puts out a ton of fragrances every year between Mancera and Montal. So a lot of stuff gets kind of lost in the shuffle, if you will. And I think that's what happened here. This one's been out since 2020, and you don't see a lot of information as far as opinions and reviews of people talking about it that I'm aware of. Admittedly, I don't go searching for it all the time, but this is one that I bought on a whim that I'm quite happy that I picked up, because it's pretty damn good. I'll probably have something about hidden gem or being underrated somewhere in the title and the thumbnail. I haven't made any of that yet, because this is just so good. Let's talk about performance. Now, with performance, it's no slouch, as with all of Pierre Montal's fragrances, though this one's not a beast. This one's strong and well above average. This is 8 to 10 hours of longevity. I would say more of the 8 to 9 hour range is typically what I get from it. I have clocked it in the 10, 11 hour range before, but on average, it falls into the 8 to 10 hour range. And projections on the heavier side, especially with it being as fresh, airy, and ozonic as it is, really gets out in the air. It can be overwhelming and cloying. If you overspray this fragrance, I would not advise doing that, but to each their own. This is one that doesn't need a lot of sprays to have a pretty sizable amount of projection early on, which falls into roughly the hour and a half to 2 hour range of slightly above average. We'll call it a moderate to heavy projection. Not quite a room filler, more moderate than it is heavy. So it's more on the average side than it is the super strong side. So it's slightly stronger than average. I know that's kind of wordy the way I explain that. And then the sillage falls in that moderate to mild territory, where I'll get pretty good whiffs of it, but nothing I would call crazy strong after the first few hours. So across the board, it's above average. It's a strong fragrance that's not too pronounced, as long as you're mindful of your sprays. Final thoughts on Midnight Gold is, I think it's a great fragrance. I think more people should give it a shot, especially if you're a fan of rose fragrances, which I've grown to love rose to the point of loving it just as much as I do iris, which longtime followers of the channel know that iris is my favorite note in fragrance. It's my favorite type of fragrance, or iris-based fragrances. Rose is right up there with it. I wear more rose fragrances than I do iris these days, which is, I think, one of the reasons I'm drawn to Mancera, because they have a lot of rose-based fragrances. And this one's great. This is an 8 out of 10 type of fragrance. Across the board, it's a great performer without being too much or unnecessarily absurdly powerful, while still having a not overly synthetic smell. It's not the most natural smell, but it does smell a bit better than the kind of the average designers that you'll get from a Macy's or a Dillard. So it's a cut above the entry-level niche type of stuff that we kind of throw Mancera into. But it's some good stuff. 8 out of 10. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on Mancera Midnight Gold. One that's worth checking out. If you can get a sample, get out there and try it. See if it's for you. Not the worst blind buy when it comes to Mancera, but still, nothing's truly a safe blind buy. Buy at your own risk. I would encourage you to sample first. Even though I blind bought it doesn't mean you should. I blind buy so you don't have to, because I talk about these fragrances on the internet and give my opinion. Some people value it. Some people don't. It is what it is. But until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of you have tried Midnight Gold? What do you think about it? Are you familiar with it? Are you not as big of a fan of it? I like it. I don't love it. I don't absolutely adore it. I don't think it cracks my top 10 Manceras in my collection, but it comes pretty close. I think it falls somewhere in that top 15, definite top 20, but I think it falls into the top 15. This is some pretty good stuff that doesn't get a lot of limelight. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on Midnight Gold from Mancera and you give it a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.